Very good afternoon. You're watching the midday news on Rajya Sabha television. All the developing news stories at the top of this hour coming up ahead. I'm Ashwara Kapoor and these are the headlines. Supreme Court dismisses review plea by 21 opposition leaders, says not inclined to modify order on VVPAT verification. Opposition parties sought to increase VVPAT verification from 5 to at least 25% of EVMs in the ongoing Lok Sabha polls. "64% polling in a fifth phase. Amid violence in the state, West Bengal sees the highest turnout of over 78%. Madhya Pradesh has a voter turnout of 69%, Jharkhand 65%, Rajasthan 64%. Amit Shah to hold multiple rallies in West Bengal and Bihar. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath campaigns in Ambedkar Nagar. Rahul Gandhi to campaign in West Bengal and Jharkhand. Priyanka Gandhi campaigns in Haryana. Myanmar releases 2 Reuters journalists from prison under presidential amnesty. Prize-winning reporters were sentenced to 7 years in jail for reporting on Myanmar's Rohingya crackdown. And won't allow trade deficit with China, warns US President Donald Trump, says US losing $500 billion a year. Threatens a fresh tariff hike on $200 billion of Chinese imports. Global markets tumble. First up, let's get you all the election-related news. In a setback to the opposition parties, the Supreme Court dismissed a review plea filed by 21 opposition leaders seeking an increase in the random matching of VVPAT slips with the EVMs in the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. The bench, headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, said that the Supreme Court was not inclined to interfere in the matter. The opposition parties were seeking a review of the Apex Court's April order directing the Election Commission to increase the random matching of VVPAT slips with the EVMs to 5 polling booths per assembly segment. The plea was filed by opposition leaders led by Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, demanding the verification of at least 25% of EVMs with the VVPAT slips in the ongoing Lok Sabha polls.
That we bow down to the court order, which has just now dismissed our review prayer. All that we are saying is that although we want 50%, you may increase it for this phase or this time to at least 33%. Worse comes to worse to 25%. Without that, the principle which you have accepted will not have meaningful operation in play. Unfortunately, that has not been accepted today. We have also pointed out another lacuna of the Election Commission's approach. Having accepted the earlier order of 5 times increase, the Election Commission has got no guideline, no system. What will they do if all the 5 machines in a particular case, or 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5, are found to be suspect on a VVPAT auto check?
And voting in the 5th phase of 2019 Lok Sabha polls concluded on Monday with an estimated total voter turnout of 63.87%, which is the lowest in all the phases so far. 51 seats across the 7 states went to polls in the 5th phase. Voting was held on 14 seats in Uttar Pradesh, 12 in Rajasthan, 7 seats each in West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh, 5 in Bihar, 4 in Jharkhand and 2 seats in Jammu and Kashmir. Talking about the voting percentage, Uttar Pradesh recorded the total voter turnout of 57.93%. Bihar recorded a voter turnout of 57.76% in the 5th phase. West Bengal recorded the highest 73.97% voter turnout in the 5th phase. Jharkhand registered 65.12% and voter turnout in Madhya Pradesh was 68.98%. And Jammu and Kashmir recorded total voter turnout of 17.07% in the 5th phase, and Rajasthan recorded a total voter turnout of 63.73% in the phase 5.
If you see how many number of people voted as compared to 2014 in 2019 for the first four phases, it is nearly 6 crore more number of voters have voted. So if I give you the exact number, 5.94 crore number of more voters have actually participated vis-a-vis 2014 in 2019 first four phases. So that shows that how much is the optimism and how much is the participation. And if I also would like to be very happy to share with you that the women voters have really come out in a big number, and in these four phases 20 crore number of women voters have actually voted. If you see the third gender, 6,389 number of third gender people, they have participated. And if you see in absolute percentage figure for first four phases, the voting percent up to fourth phase is higher by 1.09%. So if you add all the four phases of 2014 and 2019, the increase voting percentage wise is 1.09%. I now come to the fifth phase, and in today's fifth phase, total number of 8.77 crore electors they were eligible today to participate in the fifth phase. If I give you the breakup, it is 4.63 crore male electors, 4.14 crores women electors, female electors, and 2,119 third gender. They were eligible to participate.
However, sporadic incidents of violence were reported during the polling in the fifth phase of Lok Sabha elections. Incidents like clashes between the TMC and BJP workers, hurling of bombs, injury of a candidate due to lathi charge by the central forces, manhandling of a contestant and beating up of a polling agent were reported in Barakpur, Hooghly, Bangaon and Howrah constituencies of West Bengal. And in Barakpur, BJP candidate Arjun Singh was injured following a scuffle with the TMC workers here. The BJP accused Trinamool workers of booth capturing and of not letting BJP voters cast their votes by resorting to threats and violence. In Kashmir also, there was a grenade attack on a polling booth in Pulwama district. According to the police, the militants lobbed a grenade towards Rumo polling station in Pulwama. Fortunately, there were no casualties reported in the blast. And talking about the remaining two phases of elections, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath addressed a public rally in Ambedkar Nagar in the state. And lauding the achievements of the NDA government, Yogi Adityanath said that the Modi government has made possible whatever was impossible during the Congress rule. He said that the government has worked to improve every sector.
बिजली मिली है, कानून व्यवस्था की स्थिति में सुधार हुआ है, गरीबों को मकान मिले हैं, हर घर को शौचालय देने की योजना हुई है। और 2 साल पहले एक किसान गेहूं उत्पादन करता था, 1 क्विंटल गेहूं का दाम 900 से 1000 रुपए भी नहीं मिलता था। आज कोई किसान अपने खेत में गेहूं उत्पादन करेगा, भाइयों बहनों, क्रय केंद्र में जाइए, तुलवाइए, पर्ची ले लीजिए, 48 घंटे के अंदर 1860 रुपए उसके खाते में पहुंच जाएगा।
And now with just 2 phases of Lok Sabha polls left, political parties are going all out to reach out to the voters. BJP Chief Amit Shah will campaign in West Bengal and in Bihar today. He will address public rallies in Ghatal, Medinipur and Bishnupur Lok Sabha constituencies in West Bengal. All the 3 constituencies will vote in the 6th phase on 12th of May. And in Bihar, Amit Shah will hold a public meeting in Patliputra Lok Sabha constituency, which will vote in the 7th and final phase on 19th of May. And Congress President Rahul Gandhi is set to campaign in Jharkhand and West Bengal today. In Jharkhand, he will address a public rally in Chaibasa and hold a roadshow in Dhanbad. Voting will be held on 4 Lok Sabha seats of Jharkhand, including Dhanbad, Girid, Jamshedpur and Singhbhum in the 6th phase on 12th of May. And Rahul Gandhi will also address a rally in West Bengal's Purulia district today. And speaking about his sister, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra will campaign in Haryana today. She will address public meetings in Ambala and Hisar. She will also hold a roadshow in Rohtak in support of Congress candidate Dipinder Singh Hooda. And SPBSP will hold a joint rally in Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh today. And our colleague Ravinder Singh Shoran is now joining us from Haryana's Sirsa. Remember, Haryana's 10 seats are going to elections in the 6th phase. A very good afternoon, Ravinder. Speaking about Haryana, of course, it is going to see many political families in the fray this time as well. As you were telling us in the morning, grandchildren of 4 former chief ministers, 2 great-grandsons and sons of political bigwigs are again trying their luck. But speaking on the ground, what are the key issues that the electorate of Haryana is, discussing, raising that will decide the fate of these candidates?
Yeah, good afternoon, Aishwarya. You're right that there are several issues which are doing the rounds in this elections, which includes how the haphazard development which took place during the time when the UPA government was here. The Congress party was leading here for 10 years, starting from 2004 to 2014. And now the present government is saying that all development works has been done across the state on the equal basis. All the different districts of the state has been equally given preference in development of the infrastructure. Also, the welfare of the farmers is also one of the achievements of the present government. Speaking of the campaigning, the high-octane campaigning is going on. The Prime Minister is scheduled to address a public rally tomorrow here in Haryana. Amit Shah is also scheduled to address one rally. Priyanka Gandhi, she is going to campaign out of UP. She is going to campaign here. This will be the first road show of Priyanka Gandhi, which she is going to take place today in the evening in Rohtak. Besides this, Congress President Rahul Gandhi, he is also scheduled to address rally in Sirsa constituency. That is the President of the State Unit of Haryana Pradesh Congress Committee, Dr. Ashok Tamar, he is contesting from there. Sirsa is, I am standing right now in Sirsa, and Sirsa is one of the key contests this time, keenly watched contest by the experts. This is the place where all the top leadership of 4 different political parties, they are from this constituency of Sirsa. See, Ashok Tamar, he is the president of the Congress party. The BJP's state president, Subhash Barala, he is also from the same Sirsa Lok Sabha constituency. Chautalas, of course, this is the family, best-in family borough of the Chautalas family. And a lot of things of Chautalas are on stake, especially after the bifurcation of both the political parties in 2 different political fronts. The next seat is Hisar. That is also considered to be hotbed. All the political experts are eyeing on this. The cabinet minister, Virendra Singh, who has offered to resign from his cabinet portfolio only so that the party can allow his son to contest election on the ticket of the BJP. His son, Brajendra Singh, who was an IS officer, he tendered his resignation and now he is fighting on the ticket of the BJP. Also, he is locking horns again. 2 stalwarts of this Haryana's politics, Bhajan Lal's grandson, he is also contesting against Brajendra, and Dushyant Chautala, he is the 4th generation of the Devilal's family, and he is the incumbent member of parliament from Hisar.
Yes.
So there are a lot, and also the next constituency, Sirsa, Sonipat and Rohtak, both of them the father and son duo of the Hooda family. They are also contesting election.
Fate of a number of candidates, including Bhupinder Singh Hooda and his son, of course, is going to be decided in this election. Thank you so much, Ravinder, for all those updates there from Sirsa in Haryana. And BJP Chief Amit Shah is now addressing a rally in West Midnapur in West Bengal. Let's cut across live.
आप मुझे बताओ, आप देश के संविधान में विश्वास करती हो या नहीं करती हो? देश का संविधान कहता है, देश की जनता जिसको चुनती है, वो देश का प्रधानमंत्री होता है। आपको न मानने से कुछ नहीं होगा और 5 साल की तैयारी कर दो। नरेंद्र मोदी जी फिर से एक बार प्रधानमंत्री बन गए। मित्रों, नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बंगाल के विकास के लिए ढेर सारे काम किए। यूपीए की सरकार थी, सोनिया मनमोहन की सरकार थी। सोनिया मनमोहन की सरकार ने बंगाल के विकास के लिए 1,32,000 1,32,000 करोड़ दिया था। कितना दिया था बोलो भैया? और नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार आई। नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने 5 साल के लिए बंगाल के विकास के लिए 1,32,000 करोड़ से बढ़ाकर 4,24,800 करोड़ रुपया देने का। हर गांव में बिजली भेजी, इंटीग्रेटेड पावर डेवलपमेंट का काम किया। 16,000 करोड़ रुपया गरीबों के आवास के लिए दिया। शहर के लिए 1,700 करोड़ रुपया आवास के लिए दिया। अमृत योजना के लिए 2,000 करोड़ रुपया दिया।
All right, so all the election-related news, and in midday news, we'll take a very short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
India and the US have agreed to engage regularly at various levels to resolve outstanding trade issues by exploring mutually beneficial, suitable solutions. The agreement was reached in a meeting between Commerce Minister Suresh Prabhu and his American counterpart visiting US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross in New Delhi. A statement issued after the meeting said that both sides agreed to deepen economic cooperation and bilateral trade by ensuring greater cooperation amongst the stakeholders, including government, businesses and entrepreneurs. Ross is visiting India to attend the 11th Trade Winds Business Forum and Mission hosted by the US Department of Commerce. And now a quick update on the US-China trade talks. Washington has accused Beijing of backtracking on a trade deal. US Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer made the remark on Monday, but he insisted that a deal is still possible. He said that China had tried to substantially change the text of an agreement between the countries as it was nearing its final stages. He added that it was after China reneged on its promises that President Donald Trump threatened to impose new taxes on Chinese imports. Earlier on Sunday, world markets sank following the US president's tweets wherein he said that the US would more than double tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese goods on Friday and could introduce fresh tariffs. He followed that on Monday by tweeting again that the US had been losing $500 billion a year on trade with China. Sorry, we are not going to be doing that anymore, his tweet said. After imposing duties on billions of dollars worth of one another's goods last year, the US and China have been renegotiating. Last week, US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin also held talks in Beijing, calling them as productive. And on to the other big international news. After spending more than 500 days, Myanmar today released 2 Reuters journalists who were jailed for their reporting on the Rohingya crisis from prison. Reporters Valon and Kyo Soo-woo were released following a presidential amnesty. They were convicted of breaking the Official Secrets Act in September and were sentenced to 7 years in jail. Before their arrest, both had been working on an investigation into the killing of 10 Rohingya Muslim men and boys by the security forces and Buddhist civilians in the western Myanmar's Rakhine state during an army crackdown that began in August 2017. And now news from Sri Lanka, where police and military chiefs have assured the people that all Islamic extremists involved in the Easter suicide bombings are either killed or arrested. The authorities asserted that the country is now safe and can get back to normalcy. The Tri-Forces commanders and the police chief said on Monday night that adequate measures and steps have been taken to implement a special security plan. Acting Inspector General of Police Chandana Vikram Ratne said that all the explosives possessed by the terrorist group Islamic State has been seized and almost everyone identified with the group have been arrested. The army chief urged the public to return to their day-to-day activities. And back home, the Char Dham pilgrimage has begun from today. The Yatra has begun with the doors of Gangotri and Yamunotri temples in Uttarakhand being open to the public on the occasion of Akshay Tritiya. The doors of Kedarnath will open on Thursday, followed by those of Badrinath a day later. The portals of the 4 Himalayan shrines are closed in October-November every year because of heavy snowfall and are reopened in April-May. Char Dham pilgrimage attracts devotees from across the country and the world. It also forms the backbone of the economy of Garhwal Himalayas. And the fasting month of Ramzan began across the country today. The worshippers offered special prayers, which are called as Tarawih, beginning last night, which will continue throughout the month. Ramzan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. Eid ul-Fitr is celebrated at the culmination of this month. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted the people on the occasion. In a tweet, the Prime Minister hoped that the auspicious month furthers the spirit of harmony, happiness and brotherhood in the society. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.